The Sustainable Voice, bringing you big successes from small places worldwide.
Welcome back. This is Ashish, and time for another episode of What, Robin? What's it called?
What you shouldn't freak out about.
Absolutely right. This is part of our monthly episodic feature on our podcast. I love having Robin as a guest. This was, those of you that watched the first one, you saw that we had a lot of fun. And Robin's one.
Wait. I'm going to interrupt you here. This is not a guess thing. This is like
no, this is not.
This
is
like
a co.
Deal,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. Get
it right.
Yeah. Folks, you see what I got to deal with? I mean, seriously, she's right. This is not even at this point, not even a guess. I mean, Robin's been on this podcast so many times, and I've been on her podcast so many times that at this point we might as well be co-hosts, which we technically are. So don't freak out.
right, exactly. Well, it's only for this one monthly thing. We still we each still have our own separate things as well. But this is a great co-hosting opportunity.
Well, sure. and I love being on Robin's podcast. Robin's got a podcast. What's it called, Robin, again?
The Intrepid Traveler.
I love her podcast. Those of you they're listening, you should check it out. Her podcast is really cool because, she gets a deep dive into the inner workings of the industry, right? Just kind of give you a backstage view of the industry. We see this beautiful polished product at the front. It's sort of like walking through a Four Seasons, right? The front is amazing. You go to the back of the house and go, wow, this doesn't look anything like the front.
Yeah, you figure out what it takes to actually make it all work. Yeah, that's right. Or when you get to go in a kitchen at a Michelin-starred restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, you know what? Let's start there because this just happened to me. I know this wasn't on our list, but I'm going to add it right now.
Because we roll like that.
So things we shouldn't freak out about. So general managers of hotels who don't want you to see the clutter behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually made this mistake, and I'm glad I did. I was at a luxury hotel in Philadelphia. I won't say the name, but it's less than 5, more than 3.
Okay.
And I walked in, the elevator had a line to go up to the rooftop terrace. So a couple of us like, we'll just take the stairs. And, Lisa Bain was with me and Don Martinson was with me. And what could possibly go wrong with those two?
Oh, yeah, right. With that
so we went climbing up these stairs and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful hotel. And I opened the door and I literally just stopped and I go, what just happened? Where?
Like Twilight Zone? Did you enter the Twilight Zone?
It was like bars and everything. I literally looked at Lisa and I said, when did we end up at Alcatraz?
Yeah. Right.
This was nuts. And so we started hiking up these stairs and I think we climbed 20 floors, walked up 20 floors and got all the way up. And we get out on one floor and I guess there was a manager who was there who was mortified that we came in. So we had to explain to him and say, please don't worry. Look, we work in this industry.
Yeah.
We know how cluttered the back of the house is. We just want to tell you that the front of the house is amazing.
Yeah,
it is absolutely amazing. It's great. And he said, no, you can't be back here. You can't be back here. He then proceeds to tell us that he could get in trouble for us having us there.
Yeah.
So I couldn't help myself. I actually have to respond and I say, there's a row of metal staircases here. And any one of them, I could get cut on this metal and need a tetanus shot, but that's not a problem.
Gosh, that was very nice to do to him.
I know, but I'm like, but that's okay. Or if I fall off these stairs or hit my head on a railing here, that's not a problem. Yeah. But because I saw a mess in the ground, you're going to get in trouble for that. So I told Lisa, I said, do me a favor, throw me down that flight of stairs right now. That way he doesn't get in trouble.
Gosh.
So we left it there. Of course she didn't, thank goodness. But it was, I think it's, we have people, our listeners, some of our listeners are industry focused well, and we tell them, what, first thing I learned about social media, about, hotels, it's okay for people to see you sweat. In fact, it's a great thing. It means they can see the effort that goes into it, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into the finished product. It's okay to let people see that. Right. It's a great thing. If the back of the house is as clean as the front of the house, there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe cleanliness you still want. A little bit of chaos is okay.
Chaos is fine.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. There was a hotel in India that I went into, and this is my ego trip. There's a hotel in India I went into, and I went to the back of the house there again by accident. I seem to trespass these places a lot. And so
why does that not surprise me with you?
Oh no. So I walked into this place and I see VIP and I see my name next to VIP. So of course I
So
take a
you knew
picture of it.
something was wrong right there, right?
Oh, you clearly. Clearly. I was newly married and my wife actually saw that and she's like, and here's the best part. It didn't say my full name. It said Ashish Patel because my
Oh,
wife's maiden name is Patel. So I'm a VIP and my wife, apparently I took her last name. So of course my
well,
wife sees that and she just has an ego trip. She looks at me, she goes, that's the way it's gonna be. Just don't you ever forget
exactly.
it. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
that's why you've been happily married for so
That's
long.
that's right. 20 years will be next month, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
fabulous.
She,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, she put up with me for 20 years. Amazing.
Well, hopefully it'll
She
be another 20 more. We'll see just what kind of a saint she is.
she didn't freak out. She didn't freak out.
Yeah, yeah, she knew the things that she has control over and what she doesn't. She figured that out
Things to
quickly.
not freak out about being
Yeah.
married to me.
Yeah.
There. How's
Oh,
that?
that's funny.
Well,
That's
how about
funny.
any hotel stories you got?
Oh my gosh. Listen, I have got so many hotel stories and not necessarily like bad ones, but my brother is actually a GM of a
Oh,
big at one of the bigger hotel chains that we all know and has been in the hotel business industry since he was in high school. Like started as a valet parking cars at the Ritz-Carlton at Tyson's Corner in Virginia
ooh, okay.
and has now been in the industry for 30 plus years. So yeah, yeah, we could go down that rabbit hole, but maybe we'll save that for another
Well,
time.
I just want to find out. Message me which hotel he is so I can go trespass the back of the house of that hotel too.
Well, I'll say this. He is such a neat freak. Like it just, you probably in his hotel, the back of the house looks the same as the front. I mean,
Wow.
he
Okay.
is like one of these people that, he walks into my house and he like starts reaching up way up high and like running his finger along edges and seeing if there's
Mhm.
dust and stuff like that. And I'm like, just no, 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 not in my house.
Don't do it here. No,
I'm
no.
like, in your hotel, you do what you want, but
So
don't come
so
in here with that
so
stuff in my house.
you will laugh this. I actually had a friend do that in my house. Came in and was like, "Oh, well, it was what's happening over here?" And I went, "Look, we keep our house very clean, but it's still." And so he started showing that, and I stopped him and I gave him my calendar. He goes,
Mhm.
"What are you showing me?" I said, "200 of these days, I'm not home.
Yeah,
My wife works full time as well.
yeah,
So unless you plan on serving as a housekeeper for us,
right,
I'm not sure what you're actually doing with that white
right,
glove."
right, exactly,
So,
exactly.
so there
Yeah,
was there was that. Yeah.
yeah.
Look, I think,
Uh,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
all right. So, okay,
Let's
let's
jump
go
in. Now that
on
I've
to.
gotten,
Okay, so
now I've thrown
we've
us
had some good fun.
completely off
Let's
course.
move on to what we're not freaking out about
Yep.
in the
You
world of
first.
travel this week.
Yep.
And shall I kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because clearly I'm off in the weeds today. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Yes.
Well, it wouldn't be the same if you weren't.
No, this
So,
is true. Exactly right. It's like
all right. So
drinking from a
we're
fire
coming back
hose.
to what we're talking about here. And that for me today anyway is the weather.
Mhm.
Yeah, after this is being recorded June 30th of
Mhm.
2023, and last week was kind of or earlier this week I should say was kind of pandemonium in the airline world anyway because of storms and things that were rolling through.
Mhm.
And that is something that none of us have any control over.
No,
And people absolutely flip out about it in
absolutely.
airports. And, I'm going to get to here in just a second. I understand like the frustration, the aggravation, and all of that is understandable. But it's not anything that anybody can do anything about. And when those storms roll through, and they ground those planes, that's definitely a case of you'd rather be on the ground wishing you were in the air than in the air wishing you were on the ground.
Yeah,
So
100%. 100%.
that's out. And I had a couple of clients that got stuck in Atlanta overnight. Not much fun because the hotels fill up really fast and
Mhm.
then you're having to sit in the airport all night. And then, there is that overflow right now problem with we don't have as many flights back online still
Right. Right.
as we did, pre pandemic, I had a situation one time where I had to spend the night in the Detroit airport, and luckily I did get out pretty early the next day. But when those flights the next day are already fully booked, and then they're trying to deal with the issues of people that were canceled from the night before, and the air traffic controllers are trying to get it all squared away, and they're trying to get everybody rebooked. I mean, it's really tough, and tensions run high, and sleep deprivation does not help. But it is one of those things that, like, freaking out about it is not going to change it. And
No,
not
you know
gonna help
what?
it.
It's funny you say this, because it's like just I was just up in Canada with my family, just quick getaway up to the ice fields in Western Canada, and you're right. I mean, there were some issues of people flying back to the eastern part of Canada because of weather, and because of the smoke from the fires in different parts of the country and whatnot. And you're right. You can't control any of it, and yet the freaking out part is, honestly, because you saw it happen at the airport. I draw a direct correlation to this, right? So you talk to any airline right now, they cannot find people fast enough. They're ratifying new union agreements. They're hiring people, I mean, not by the tens, by the hundreds.
Yeah.
And they're trying to bring it, and the line they're trying to skirt is qualified people versus warm bodies.
Yeah.
So, and the people who freak out the most are the ones who actually complain about the understaffing.
Yeah.
But they're the cause.
Right.
They're the cause. I mean, you
Yeah.
look at it's like seeing it's like literally it's like going to somebody's house before you have children, seeing children that are basically just absolutely just monsters, and going, forget it, I don't want kids.
Or
it's
thinking you could do a better job and
Right.
judging the parent.
Right, exactly.
Being like,
exactly.
you know what? I'm the perfect parent. I don't have children, but I'm the perfect parent. So you should do this.
Oh yeah. You should do this. Exactly. Like it's the same thing with this, and it's fun. And again, right way, those same people that freak out are the ones who sit there and just berate this poor gate agent and berate these. And it's not their fault. There's a line that's a mile long. Yes, and could you imagine coming to work and your job for that day is to be yelled at by every single person? Like, really? I mean, where is it? Did I tell you my story in Canada from last time about the gentleman that pushed me out of the way? Did I mention that to you?
I think we did talk about that on the last episode.
So this time around, coming back, it almost happened again. And it was not even somebody pushing, but it was just somebody huffing and puffing and whatnot, and getting on the plane. And what are you doing? And they were freaking out about this, and it's something you couldn't control.
Yeah.
In fact, you would have had a moment when we were flying back from Colombia this last trip, the trip that I wished you were on.
And I wished I was too.
Yes, exactly right. But well, yes, you should have been there. I still don't know why you weren't there. But that's a different topic.
I can't just travel all the time as much as I'd like to. I do have to work some.
Work? What's that? We work and travel. We don't work.
Oh, we both know what work is. Anyway, okay, all right. So what happened on the plane? What happened?
Well, so they had to. So this is what happened. We're taking off. And this wasn't even weather, but it could have been, right? So weather was rolling in the morning, flying back to Florida. And so there was a, when we're taking off, there was a chance of like get delayed a bit. So there was obviously some people who were just antsy. Mm-hmm. You were in Cartagena flying back. And I don't know why you're antsy, because you're in Cartagena, you're in Colombia. The worst that'll happen is you get to stay one more day in paradise. Right. It's not like it's the end of the world, right? Yeah. So I guess one of the people back there, so he was he was in front of us in the line for the getting the VAT tax back for stuff he bought, and he's freaking out, opening his bag. His poor spouse is about to cry because he's berating her and whatnot. And then he looks over to Vicky, our Vicky, and says, "I speak English. I know what you're saying. Don't talk about me." And so I looked at him and said, "Sir, please calm down. She's on your side. Yeah. She's just telling us that she feels sorry for you. She's sympathetic to your don't okay." Well, karma's karma. So we were taking off, and we're on the runway, and this is what happened. Taking off, about to hit max speed to take off, and all of a sudden the brakes go on. Okay. I thought something broke on the plane. I literally thought something had broken. I thought that we were about to hit something. Yeah. And all of a sudden the pilot comes on and says, "Prepare for arrival." What? But we haven't taken off yet. Was it that did we time warp to Florida? What happened?
Yeah.
Goes back to the gate. Turns out that that same gentleman was in the back verbally harassing and I think abusing his wife.
Wow.
Which is unacceptable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
So good on the pilot, got everybody off and said, we're taking him off the plane. And I didn't know who he was. I saw the bags coming out of the plane. I go, oh, that's him.
Wow.
That's the same guy. I remember those
Yeah.
bags.
Yeah.
And it was,
Yeah.
he was freaking out about the weather because we're delayed. It manifested itself into this just tyrant at the the line to get your VAT tax back.
Yeah.
And then it manifested itself even further into this monster who treats his wife in a way that I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
On an airplane in front of everybody, thinking that there's no repercussions. This man's now removed off the flight. Who knows when he actually gets on another flight to come home? He's now delayed a whole nother day at the very least because he freaked out.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they let his wife go without him.
I mean, so surprisingly,
I mean, if I was her, I would have been like, "See you, sweetie."
I know. I would have said that, like, "All right, see you later." But the kids were kids there. That her kids were watching him do this as well, so they all were taken off. And I would have said that. I've been like, "Yeah, you know what? I think you're staying in Colombia, or I'm staying in Colombia. You go ahead and go."
Yeah, right.
But it all manifested itself from a simple point of not having self-control. So I think you're spot on. Like, what you said the key thing, you can't control it. Yeah. And if you can't control it, I tell people all the time, you're going through airports, just ask yourself two questions. If you can control it, then control it. What actions can you take to fix it, right? If it's something in your control, then do something about it. Yep. But if you can't control it and nobody around you can control it, unless you've got a direct dial to the Almighty, I think you kind of have to just sit back and say, I mean, it's there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The lack of planning on your part does not constitute the emergency on my part. So when that kind of person calls their travel agent or the airlines or the person at the desk or whatever, so either they might have cut their trip too short going home, or might not have allowed themselves enough time getting there, or whatever the case may be, then
well, that's a good phrase. Say it again. That's a really good phrase. Say that again.
The lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
I'm using that. Did you? If you haven't trademarked,
I wish I could say that I came up with that, but I didn't.
Well, I'll tell you what. On this podcast, we're saying you came up with it. It's now, we have it recorded into evidence. You came up with it. It is now officially entered into evidence.
Right, well, I'll take credit for this.
Yeah. Look, if you trademark it, you need any kind of evidence for the patent, just let me know. We have this recording.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so what's on your list? What are you not? What are you?
Mine's traveling with families. Mine's traveling with kids, with families. Okay. So I travel with my kids. So traveled with my wife and family, right? So I'll take you back. And my kids are great travelers now, but I have zero tolerance for people who pretend like we're doing something horribly wrong because our kids are crying on an airplane.
Okay.
You know, that person who just looks at you with disdain, as if I have like a little keychain in the back of my kids. Say, all right, turn on the crying. Here we go. All right. Yeah, let's go annoy those people over there. So I'll take you back to when my daughter was 1. We were flying to Costa Rica, and the air pressure was bothering her. It was the first time on her plane. Now, my son, mind you, was a pro at this point. Yeah. Now, when I say pro, here's what I mean, okay? If you fly on JetBlue right now, they charge you for your headphones. My son's single-handedly responsible for that. They used to give headphones for free until he handed back a whole bunch of headphones in pieces. And then after that point, they're like, okay, we charge for headphones. I looked at him and I go, this is all you're doing.
This is your fault.
When you get older, I am making sure everybody knows that this is your doing. If they're paying $2 for headphones, it's because of you. And he was proud of himself.
Yeah.
But when you're traveling with kids, they're curious. We think about when we were growing up, planes were a novelty, meaning they were new. It was getting on a plane. It still is a novelty, right? It still is something really cool. But it was something like, air travel is not as what was something like, it was more reverence than it is today, right? Today it's like almost like an air taxi in certain cases. Yeah. For kids, it's not just the air travel. It's the free Wi-Fi. It's the in-flight entertainment. It's everything around, and there's just so much going on. They're taking in, and so you have this. But when you have a young child, so I had my 1-year-old daughter, we're flying to Costa Rica. This was years ago. She's 11 now, and she was crying on the flight from Miami to San Jose. She's screaming on the plane because, and I'm trying to comfort her. My wife is almost in tears because she's mortified. So I said, let me have her. And I'm holding her, and she's, trying to comfort her, trying to give her something. You make them just, suck on a bottle or something. You can't just give them a piece of gum and say, here, chew this. And
especially when they're one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try, but I mean, I would. I'm the guy who gave my daughter hot sauce when she was like 1 by accident. So I mean, I did by accident. It wasn't on purpose, I promise. So
that's good. That's a good thing.
Yes, it was touching her gums and whatnot, and rubbing her gums because they were hurting her. And then I realized that my fingers were in hot sauce. I was like, oh,
yeah, they're only going to hurt more.
Okay. Yeah, so right, that's
okay. So back to the ears.
Back to this. Okay, sorry. So so this woman, this must have been in her 50s, I think. She looks over at me, just keeps staring, like, oh, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at my wife. Now my wife is basically crying at this point, and I'm like, okay, hold on. So I pick my daughter up. I hand her to this lady. I go, here you go. She goes, what are you doing? I go, clearly you know what to do
how to fix this.
So here, you fix this. Oh, no. I said, no, you keep looking at us, and you keep looking. My wife is not crying because of how you're staring at her. Yeah. It's not, I'm sorry that she's bothering you. Yeah. I'm sorry that my daughter, my 1-year-old daughter, who still has no control over her emotions, is bothering you. Yeah. I'm sorry that I brought her on this airplane, but since you are an experienced mother, here. And she just goes, no. I said, okay, well then, all right, if that's the case, then do you mind?
Yeah.
And I explained to her, I said, kids, adults, we all sense judgmentalized. We can sense it. It comes off like a spear through, a knife through butter, or spear through whatever. And I said, kids experience it as well. I said, her pressure is there. The minute I started doing that, the amazing thing, the minute I started, talking to this lady and getting her to stop looking at us, all of a sudden, my daughter stopped crying. She started
tension eased.
Yeah, which kids sense it as well. So traveling with kids, I tell people, look, when they're older, like I'm pretty strict with my kids. Just this last trip, it was getting my daughter to say thank you for something because she was complaining about something. I'm like, wait a second, you have no right to complain. You should be saying thank you. And it was there. But when they're younger and whatnot, it's to not let some of those judgy eyes bother you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the difference between misbehaving or, or somebody being ill-behaved and somebody being, in pain or afraid or something like that. I mean, that's a totally different thing. I mean, I'm definitely going to have a different reaction to a parent that's letting their kid like bang the what out of the back of my seat for 6 hours than I am to one who has a crying child because the pressure's bothering their ears. So yeah,
you're spot on.
You can control the kid that's kicking the seat. Well, in theory.
No, you can't. I'm going to tell you how I did it. But go ahead. I'm going to tell you.
What did you bring? Duct tape? Did you duct tape his legs down?
No. Oh no. It got much better. I did much better than that. I was able. So so we had this kid that that parent that wasn't paying attention. Like it's as you said, it's a difference between having your children be autonomous and actually supporting them and then letting them run just completely wild. Yeah. Well, we were flying from Hong Kong to India on a 747. This is my mother, my wife, and I were flying there, and this kid, I didn't have kids yet, and this kid gets up off the seat. How this kid was sitting in the exit row is beyond me. But there's that seat that doesn't have any seats in front of you.
Yeah, that must have been a long time ago.
It was a long time
before they made those hard and fast rules.
Yeah, which needed to be back then. So this kid gets up, starts hanging on the handle for the emergency door.
Oh,
like and not hanging on the part that says close, hanging on the part that says push here to open.
Okay. Listen, that goes in the category of things you should freak out about.
So here's what I did. I basically started flagged down flight attendant. Somebody came over and says, no. And luckily before I could, everybody else freaked out about it.
Yeah.
So now this is the part that gets interesting. This kid was probably 5, 6 years old. So now he keeps, he's sitting right across from us, and he keeps basically, he has a little toy, and he keeps putting it on my shoulder. And I'm trying to mind my own business. I'm like, what gives you the right to get in my personal space? And his mom is just oblivious. She's reading something, whatnot. So when nobody's looking, I take the little toy that's in his hand, and I very gently smack it out of his hand so it goes flying to the front of the plane.
Right.
And then I put my headphones on, open my magazine, and pretend like nothing's ever happened.
Nothing. It's like the what were they in Madagascar? The
lemurs.
Dudes. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Well, so of course I have my headphone open just a little crack, just to see what's about to happen, because that way if something happens, I'm gonna have to explain to my family why I just got in trouble. Like I told you last time.
Why you got arrested by the air marshal and then taken to jail upon landing.
Exactly. Like I told you last time, I'm due for some sort of a butt whooping in an airport somewhere. I've done enough things to people just being a smart aleck when they do dumb things to just, if I do something ever does happen where I get in trouble, I'm going to say, yeah, I probably deserve this. I'm hoping it doesn't, but still, but it's still, but so all I hear is this mom just going, the kid going, mom, that man took this toy and threw my toy over there and whatnot. And this kid was like, he's touching my shoulder, this toy. And he's like, I can't take 10 more hours of this. I'm like, no, come on, just stop. And I tried telling him to stop and whatnot. His mom clearly wasn't anything. So all I hear is his mom going, what have we said about you lying about people and lying about things? You should not lie. At that point, half of me is like, yeah, take that. And half of me was like, oh, I feel really bad now.
Right. Like, do I let him take the fall or not?
I let him take the fall. I let him take the fall. You know what? I let him take the fall. I normally wouldn't, but that kid deserved it. That was a kid that I wanted to go to the mom and say, when this kid grows up and goes to high school, you should be a bit worried. Like it was like, just he's got to respect, like you got to have respect for people. You got to, at that age, traveling with kids, letting kids be, curious is everything, but let them be, let them be respectful.
Yeah.
Right.
Going back to what a good word for all of us. It doesn't matter what age we are. As soon as you're old enough to understand that, being respectful of those around you, no matter what the situation, because, we all know air travel is trying a lot of the time. And, we just have to do the best we can. So
that's exactly right. Nothing more you can do besides that. It's exactly right.
Keep your eye on the prize. You're getting where you want to go in a record amount of time. If you lived 100 years ago, it wouldn't be happening.
That's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. And look, we're lucky that we get, as you said, we get to fly in these. It's, planes are planes, but they're, at the end of the day, you step back and you think about how much they come. These are steel tubes. These are steel tubes with engines in them. I say, missiles with wings. Although I probably shouldn't say that on air, but okay. Anyway, but it's still.
You can edit it out.
We can edit it out. Yeah. All right. NSA, if you're listening, I didn't mean it. I promise.
Right.
So, but it's literally, it's one of these things where we have to take a step back and understand just the way we talk about, the back of the house on hotels. It's not an easy job to run an airline by any stretch. If it was, everybody would do it. Logistics, and you see airlines melt down doing weather patterns where their flights are all stuck somewhere, cruise time out and whatnot. You see now them, union contract negotiations. It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
And we talk about the moving parts in our industry. Imagine the moving parts they have, and they have an antiquated air traffic control system to deal with as well. Yet it still happens. Yeah. And we can't get passport control unified on airports, but airlines have it down where you get off of one tower, get onto a different tower, get the different tower, contact this tower. And the entire time you're flying from Timbuktu to Los Angeles, you're in contact with somebody the whole way. And they're in different, and you're talking to people in different countries who are you speaking the exact same coded language.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's amazing. if you ever
It's
fly,
like a giant machine with a gajillion cogs all running at the same time. And when one of them breaks, then the whole thing starts to,
yeah,
yeah,
fall apart. It's exactly.
Yeah.
If you ever fly United,
I try not to.
What?
Sorry.
That's okay. I fly Delta mostly. So I don't blame you one bit. But I will say they had this one thing that I wish all airlines had. And it's not a reason to give up loyalty to any one airline, and I did this one time. I was flying them, I forget where to where. I think it was just somewhere in the US. And so on one of their channels, you can hear the air traffic control, the communication between the pilot and air traffic control.
Huh.
I kept that on the whole time. Wow. Yeah, I have ADD when it comes to traveling. I'm watching something on TV, I'm doing something, I'm doing work, and I'm listening to this all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm listening, and it was literally, I think we were flying from, it wasn't US, it was actually from London. We left London talking to Heathrow Tower, then talking to so-and-so tower, then hitting some tower in Canada, then hitting some tower in the US, then hitting some tower in Chicago, then hitting some tower. It was literally one after the other. And every one of them was, United, and then the pilot responded, heading 260, climb to 3-4 feet, 3,000, climb to 4. You think about that. You're dealing with some people in the metric system, some people in the imperial system, and yet everybody's dealing on, 34,000 feet, 40,000 feet. Everybody's speaking the same language. Yeah. We can't even order coffee in that uniform way. And yet these guys are flying these advanced pieces of equipment with uniform language. It's incredible.
Yeah. Very good. Very good point. Very good point. Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
wow. Well, what's on your list? What's next on your list?
You mean like next month? What's on my list?
No, next topic not to freak out about.
Oh no, we gotta wrap it up.
Oh, come on. No, do we have to?
You got a meeting to go to.
I know. I don't want to go. I'm freaking out.
Well, that's your own fault. That's on your calendar. That's on you. You can't blame that on anybody else. So,
well, what's the phrase again? What's the phrase you used again? I'm going to use it this meeting.
Lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to use that because the lack of planning on my part is going to constitute an emergency on this next meeting's part.
Yeah, but you have a meeting to go to.
I do.
And I've got some things to attend to. So we will reconvene next month. Yes. And we'll see what kind of fodder the travel industry gives us between now and then and come with our next topics.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot. It's good. There's no shortage of materials. I mean, as David Letterman said.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Thanks. So
and if we run out of materials, as David Letterman has, we always have stupid human tricks. We can always talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's wait till we run out of stuff before we start going down that path.
Well, Robin, as always, it is great having you host this podcast. We're co-hosts there.
We are co-hosts. This is our co-episode. So you'll find it on my podcast as well as on yours. So
yes. So the Intrepid Traveler and the Sustainable Voice, both podcasts is a simulcast on both places. Check out both podcasts. Check out Robin's podcast as well, as of course you're listening here as well. But check out the Intrepid Traveler. It's a really great podcast, and really, again, it's about getting behind the scenes. These are the things that this industry deals with in order to make travel seamless. So when you're on your next trip and you're having an amazing time, think about this podcast and all the things that go behind the scenes, beyond the laughter, beyond everything else, the stress that goes into the scenes, with one common goal of just making sure you're smiling. So that's really key. Robin, any closing remarks before we sign off?
No, I think it's all good. Just think about worry about the things you have control over. That's all.
That's exactly right.
Don't give the rest of it rent-free space in your head.
I love it. That's exactly right. Better words are never spoken. So as Robin said, don't give it rent-free space in your head. Be respectful. Yep. Till next time. Stay tuned, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to The Sustainable Voice. If you have a success story of your own, please reach out and share it with us. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.